All righty, thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Wednesday, March 10th meeting of the East Long Meadow Conservation Commission. At this time, I need to ask if anybody in the audience is recording this meeting. If so, could you please raise your hand and identify yourself? We've got two people. One of those might be Tony.
I believe it is, yeah.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, Rebecca.
Are you there, Tony?
Yes, I am.
All righty. Hearing that nobody's recording the meeting, we will move on with the first item on the agenda, which is the approval of the February 24th minutes. I believe Jeff sent in a change on.
Couple minor changes, but
Yep.
I think those were corrected.
Yep. Anybody else have any comments or additions or anything for the minutes? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the February 24th, 2021 meeting minutes.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to the roll call vote. Will? We might not have been there, right?
I was
mute.
there.
Okay, yep. Tony?
Aye.
Yep. Francis?
Yes.
Jeff?
Aye.
Elizabeth?
Aye.
And yes for me also. Okay, the next item on our agenda is the public hearing for the bundled notice of intent for the East Long Meadow Department of Public Works. This was not continued, so Jeff, if you could read the announcement into the record, please.
Certainly. Case NOI 2021-1, bundled notice of intent for routine maintenance and repair activities on municipal properties, rights of way, easement, roads, and structures in East Long Meadow, Massachusetts. Applicant, East Long Meadow DPW, 60 Center Square, East Long Meadow, Mass. And that is the DEP file number 150-0454.
Oh, hello, Tom. You have
How
the
is
floor.
everyone?
Good, thank you.
How are you?
Good.
I see you opted to do a new filing as opposed to the extension.
Yeah, so I guess in my error, a few years ago, the order of conditions was never filed at the registry. So I tried to file it after our last meeting, maybe a month ago. And one of the requirements for filing was a deed book and page, which obviously we won't have for the entire town. So I kind of went back and forth with Bethany and Mark Stinson, and it sounded like the bundled NOI was sort of just going to be an agreement between DPW and the Conservation Commission. There's really no way to file it without a book and page, and it's just going to have to be, obviously it's your pleasure, but it seems like it's going to be sort of an internal document that we maintain as an entity, and you as well.
Okay.
That's my understanding anyway. I don't know, Bethany, if you got anything else out of that, or.
No, that's what I understood as well. And essentially Mark Stinson said in place of the certificate of compliance, as long as the commission feels that DPW is honoring that document, is coming to you when they have projects that might be outside of the scope of the agreed upon order of conditions, all of that, then it remains an internal document, since there isn't isn't a way to record it without the deed book and page numbers, which town property doesn't have.
Okay. So was there any changes in the filing compared to the last one?
No, everything remained the same. We changed some minor language. I was calling it a generic notice of intent, which is how it was called when I started. I sort of took the old document, and Mark said that it's more commonly referred to as a bundled notice. So everywhere it said generic, I changed it to bundled. Other than that, like I said last time, the stormwater map may have changed a little bit based on changes in the GIS, but other than that, the verbiage is the same, and pretty much the rest of the submittal is the same.
Okay. Questions or comments from the commission?
So- Just a question, since this is going to be a new NOI filing, we have to do a new set of order of conditions, correct?
Yes, so now would be the time if the commission had any special conditions that you wanted to put in, or just a point to evaluate if the current order of conditions is working, just those kinds of considerations.
To the chair, I have a question.
Please.
Maybe this is a silly question, but anyway, does DPW have to notify us of, still has to notify us of their plans for any work orders that are coming up or not?
Yeah, so there's a bunch of different scenarios outlined in the bundled, most of which I send an email to Bethany and Craig anyway. If I think we're even close to one of those scenarios, I send that email out just to, make sure I'm not interpreting something that I shouldn't be. So that's how we've been handling it thus far, and it seems to be working fairly well.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'm going to say Tom does send me emails, and maybe it just hasn't happened in your time on the board yet, Francis, or the commission yet. But sometimes we do go and actually do a site visit.
Yeah, it's happened once, and I just wanted to know if it's going to continue with the same method of
Absolutely.
oh, that's great. Yep, thank you.
Yeah. One of the things that I noticed with Mark Stinson's comments is, and I haven't gone through this with a fine tooth comb yet. We just got this earlier this week. But I think we need to check in and possibly make a couple changes to our order of conditions that we have based on Mark Stinson's comments. So I guess I'd like to look this over, and we can work on drafting a new order of conditions for the next meeting. But other than that, I don't see any issues with it. Does the commission want to, take action and vote on this tonight, or continue it to the next meeting when we review the conditions, or?
I'm
It's the
go-
same as the last one. Why can't we just move forward with it and be done with it?
Jeff?
Since I didn't even get this until last Thursday and haven't had a chance to go through it that much, and I did review Mark Stinson's comments, and I'd kind of like to just continue it till the next meeting until we can have a chance to review it a little bit further and then draw up the order of conditions.
And I would say we should be able to draft conditions for the next meeting. Any other comments from the commission? Hearing none, I guess the way to proceed is I will entertain a motion for approval of the bundle notice of intent as submitted.
Second.
Oh, did somebody make the motion? Or that's, we'll say Will made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Now proceed with the roll call vote. Will,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
okay, Tony,
Aye.
Francis,
Aye.
Elizabeth.
Aye.
I'm a yes vote also, and we will have an order of conditions drafted for you for at our next meeting.
Sounds good. Thank you, everyone.
All right, good
Okay.
seeing
Thank
you,
you.
Tom.
You too. Appreciate it. Thank you.
All righty. The next item on our agenda, oh, and then I apologize too, I should have brought this up earlier, was a notice of intent for 13 to 25 North Main Street. And unfortunately, there was a technical reason where there's an existing order of conditions that's out there from a previous filing from 2020. There was no certificate of compliance filed for that. Therefore, we can't take up this matter tonight. I apologize to those people from the public that might be here to discuss it, but I should have brought that up before we took our first item on the agenda. So we need to postpone this public hearing until our next meeting, which will be March 24th. This will be possibly on the agenda again, but what we need to do is have a certificate of compliance filed for the previous work, so it might even be delayed a little bit longer.
Craig, I see Jim Channing's in the audience. I don't know if he has any updates on that certificate of compliance that he'd like to share.
Who is that?
Jim Channing is the attorney representative for Pride.
Oh, okay, sure.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So I don't, much like you, I just found out about obviously the concern yesterday, and I've been trying to do my due diligence. I don't have an update at this point. I can tell you I spoke to John Ramito late yesterday afternoon regarding this, and I'll certainly, as soon as I have more information, I'll provide it one way or another to the commission through Bethany, and hopefully we'll address it as soon and as fair as possible.
You know, as long as we are, you know, in compliant with the previous order, you know, we should be able to get it approved pretty quickly.
I appreciate that. Yeah, thankfully, Smith Associates did the prior order conditions as well as our existing conditions for this. So I anticipate a quick resolution, albeit one that may require filing.
All righty, thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. The next item on our agenda is a request for a certificate of compliance for 99 Maple Shade Ave. There was some emails and discussion with Mark Stinson about this. And what we have come up with here, and we're thinking the easiest and cleanest way around this and quickest also, is for the commission to issue an enforcement order requiring a restoration or an alteration plan that be filed with the Registry of Deeds. And essentially what we were doing is we're issuing the enforcement order. People should have received a copy of it. That is essentially saying we are going to allow the section of the driveway to remain there and have the buffer zone or the limit of work line move from the 50-foot limit of work to the 100-foot limit of work area on the left-hand side of the house as you're standing and looking at it. And so essentially right now, what we need to do is vote to ratify the enforcement order, and then the applicant can take the corrective action and submit the paperwork and the filing with the Registry of Deeds, and then we should be able to move on with the certificate of compliance. Discussion from the board?
No, I'm in favor of the enforcement order.
Believe Tom Morissette is in the audience. I don't know if, Tom, you wish to speak at all on this, or I think we're pretty much just set and we can just move on and have this on the agenda again for our next meeting.
I just brought him in anyway.
Okay.
Craig.
Yep.
Oh, sorry, Zoom tricked me.
I see we've got Sid and Dawn in.
No, that was my error.
Oh, okay.
Zoom likes to switch people up.
Yes, they do.
There you go.
Microphone. Can't hear you,
You're
Tom.
muted, Tom.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Sure.
There we go. All right. Yeah, I mean, that sounds like a plan. I'm okay. I'm good with that. Are you going to submit a copy of that, of your enforcement order to me?
Yes,
Okay.
we will.
Yes, yep. I will probably email it over to you once it's ready tomorrow. And then I think we also have to send it certified mail. Would you prefer I send it to you or to the property owner?
It would have to be the property owner to be, I think, to be legal.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. And I will get Mike Smith working on the plan to get it moved, and we can go from there.
All righty. Sounds good.
All righty. Very good. I guess that's it.
Yep. All right. Thank you.
So once I submit the paperwork, then we can. So I guess at the next meeting we submit the paperwork, and then when does the certificate of compliance get issued? At the next meeting after that, or at that meeting?
I don't see why we couldn't do them both at the same meeting,
Okay.
assuming everything's all set. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay.
All righty. I'll entertain a motion for the issuance of the enforcement order as drafted for 99 Maple Shade Ave.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All righty, roll call vote. Will? Oh, that's right. Yep,
I have to recuse myself on that
that's
vote.
right. I'm sorry. Thank you. Jeff?
Aye.
Tony?
Aye.
Francis?
Aye.
Elizabeth? I think that was a yes.
You're on
muted,
mute.
Elizabeth.
I'm a yes vote also. All righty. Thank you very much, and we'll see you at our next meeting, Tom.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All righty. Next item on our agenda was project monitoring. I didn't have a lot on that. Did anybody have anything that they wanted to add, or site visits that they might have made or anything since the last meeting?
Just want to bring up, Rebecca sent out an email today that Giuliano Pool has their erosion controls in and looking for us to have a site visit out there.
That's right. Yep.
So if we can coordinate that. I don't think we all have to go, but you know.
I mean, that's something that should be pretty easy, and it's light out a little bit later.
Yeah.
You know, I don't have a problem. Anybody want to try and meet there at 5:30 tomorrow?
Fine with me.
Yeah, it
Could
should
do
be
like-
okay.
I could do like 5 or 5:45. I have to drop my daughter off at 5:30.
Yeah.
Sorry.
If, well, you know, if you want to swing by before, you can do that too. Just
Okay.
Yeah,
All right, that's fine. I just, sorry.
Okay. All right, so we want to shoot for 5:30 tomorrow?
Yeah, that sounds
Sure.
good.
Okay, perfect. The other one that I had in regards to project monitoring is some of the site visits that were done. The only site visit I do is if I went and I was actually at Rocky, so I walked across the street to look at the Ramitos site and, sent in a couple pictures on that. But we had some other things that were done at the previous meeting regarding with hidden ponds and the signs and that sort of thing. And what I'm wondering is, are those updates being put onto the project monitoring spreadsheet? And I would love it if we got emailed the new revised project monitoring spreadsheet every couple weeks. Because I still have trouble with this Google sign in and everything to be able to do that.
Sure, we can email it. It's hard to know when it's been updated because everybody has access to it. So any one of you could update it and I wouldn't know necessarily. But we could just do a monthly update.
I know I haven't accessed it in eons.
Yeah, and I really don't, haven't figured out how to do that yet. So is that something that staff can do as we talk about these things during project monitoring? Go in and actually update the sheet? I'm pretty sure Francis is the only one who's really done it other than the last work Jeff did.
I haven't been able to get to it either in a long time. Sorry. I just got really busy.
Is that on Google Drive?
Yes.
Yeah, it would be under shared with you if you go to your Google Drive.
Yep.
Or it will say shared with me, and it's just called Concom-project monitoring. Let me send it out to everybody again.
Yeah, I mean, I've tried it, but I just struggle with that. I'm not tech savvy enough.
I don't have that in my Google Drive.
Is there any way to make this easier?
Actually, Craig, this is the easiest way.
Yeah.
Where it's all in one place so that we don't get confused. And I thought there was a log that said when somebody updated it. No, there's no way to tell.
There probably is. Yeah, I think it shows you version history. So every time it's updated, it's called a new version.
Yeah, so that's a way to tell if anybody's been in there. I mean,
And lately it's just been Rebecca, I believe.
so I know I haven't been on it in, who knows, long time. But I suppose I could, if people tell me what they want to put on there. You email it to me, I can update it.
Yeah,
I just tried to open it, Bethany. It said I need a code.
Oh, on your own Google Drive?
Yeah.
That's weird.
You shouldn't need one. I sent you an email as well. Did you get that one?
Well, that's what I just opened up the email and then.
Did you send everybody the email, Bethany?
Nope, I'll send it out now.
Okay. Just
Oh,
check.
Google sent me a separate verification. I see. They send a separate verification code.
so you're sending out some sort of instruction that's telling us how to do this?
I'm sending you out the link, and if you click on it, it should bring you right to the spreadsheet.
Okay.
And Craig, a few months ago, I sent out step-by-step instructions to all the commissioners with how to access it, but I can send that out again.
Yeah, I was able to access it.
That was the
I
one I
just
didn't
didn't
do
know
well.
what to put in there.
But I guess we'll give it another shot because it is important for us to keep that updated. Anybody else have anything on project monitoring?
I'm still kind of repeating the same thing. I'm sorry, but I'm not quite sure where we're at with the drainage situation at Hidden Ponds. Weren't we waiting to hear something about the pre-construction and post-construction drainage from our Levesque?
Yes, we are.
So that's been going on now for quite a long time. Could be
Yeah.
that we should follow up with that.
I haven't emailed with Rob about it. I'm not sure if it's a weather condition.
Oh, I see. Okay, so they're waiting for spring probably.
Yeah.
Okay.
There
I
does-
won't bring it up until,
That's
I'll
okay.
just go
No,
by.
please bring it up. There is, you know, there is kind of the requirement that we want to have rainfall happening
yeah, okay, then we need to
in
wait.
order to evaluate, you know, the functioning of it.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. But we'll be coming back to that in a minute, a little bit. So hearing nothing else, we can move on to, you know, to some policies and procedures of the commission, which in the first one I had here is I had some email discussions with Bethany, and we can't really get it into the budget this year for a part-time agent. However, the first category, which was for protection of the wetlands funds, in the money that we have, we can spend some of that money to hire a part-time agent, either on a per diem basis or 15 hours a week or something like that. There's approximately $65,000 in there, I think. So that's something that you know, that I would like to pursue. I did send to Bethany, and also it was in the last MACC email. There's actually job descriptions from a few other towns that are looking for agents, some part-time and some full-time. So what I'm liking for an idea is for the commission to authorize the expenditure of a certain amount of money for a 1-year period. And somehow I'm thinking $25,000 or something like that to have to use for an agent for the next year, and until we get the agent actually put on the budget in town.
Right, and just to give some background to this, there's 3 funds that are under the Conservation Commission, and one of them, which Craig is talking about, is the Wetlands Protection Act, and that comes from the filing fees, mostly the notice of intent fees. And in the MACC handbook, it describes the uses for those filing fees. And one of the main ones is for paying the salaries and expenses of employees that cover the basic tasks that a conservation agent would complete. So enforcement order conditions, site visits, public hearings, mileage to attend project meetings and site visits, field work, paperwork, such as doing the permitting forms for DEP, etc. So it's really built, that fund is really built for paying for a conservation agent. And it needs the Conservation Commission's approval and the town managers. So maybe staking out for the next meeting the highest priority duties that you'd want the conservation agent to fulfill, and then having a chance for the town manager to either attend a meeting or speak with myself and Craig to make sure that she's on board with that as well, would be the next steps.
Well, this position would be, I don't suppose it's going to be an official town employee type position, would it be?
No, I wouldn't receive benefits. That's why I was thinking more of a per diem would be a better fit, just as we get used to having that conservation agent available to help out. We also physically don't have space for a desk in the town hall right now, especially with COVID. So having someone who can help when we have a complex application on file that we need some assistance with, or during the spring when we have a lot of site visits to conduct, who could drive around and do that and work remotely for the most part otherwise, would be ideal.
would that person attend our meetings after they've, to report back to us if we have any questions about something they've just done or something like that?
Sure, that's definitely included in the list of duties that they could do.
Okay.
So it's really, what I'd like to do is put it on the next conservation meeting agenda, and we can talk about it a little bit more in depth, and maybe Mary McNally can come through and we can discuss it with her as well.
I had one more question. When can we ask to put it on the town budget? What is the deadline for that?
Town manager said we could try for next year, so
And
that
what is
process really begins in like November, December.
Okay. Can you remind us of that when we get close to it?
Sure, yep. But the other hope of using the Wetlands Protection Act fund for an agent now, so we don't have to wait, is to show the town how valuable that position could be, especially as the climate change is come and go, and we have just more severe weather. That's going to become more and more important.
And this subject came up when I was talking with Mark Stinson, and but also in what I seem to envision this, not an employee. It would be more like a subcontractor type position, as opposed to a town employee. But and this came up when I was talking with Mark Stinson when we were discussing 99 Maple Shade Ave and the best way to come to a resolution on that. And and frankly, he questioned how we missed it all on that site, with the fact that the house where it wasn't supposed to be and the driveway was as far off as it was. And I would, my only answer was, well, the project was inactive for a while, and and it just got by us. And then I did tell him that the commission did over 100 site visits in the last year. He was kind of impressed by that, and he did bring up, when are you guys hiring an agent? So I guess at this point, you think we should just be drafting a job description and have that for the next meeting?
A job description, but really prioritizing what areas you want them to focus on. If they're doing a per diem work, then would you rather have them doing site visits and writing up reports on those site visits? It really depends on how many hours a week you want them to work. I think I told Craig if we had somebody in for full work week for 40 hours a week for, let's say, 17 an hour, which is pretty low on the salary amount for a conservation agent. But that would be about $34,000 for a whole year if they're working full time. But if you only need them for 8 hours a week, obviously it would be less.
Well, what I see is, some of the things that if this person could be an on-call type person, that we get a call for a potential violation or something like that, and the person could go out there. Also, even just like going to look at this Giuliano Pools thing, other than I'm not sure that's one that we really want to expend money on. But one of the things that I believe we really need to continue to work on, and this North Main Street project is another example of it. We're trying to get a project moving forward, but nope, there's a 20-year-old order of conditions out there. And that's one of the things that I think could take a tremendous amount of time. But I don't envision this being a full-time job just doing that, even though it could be probably for a year, to just start working their way back through these old files that have open orders of conditions and no certificates of compliance. But I do think the 17's low. I think this is going to be at least a $20 an hour position. In my opinion, it would be better if the person was degreed and a wetlands expert, but that's going to be hard to get for that type of pay. It could just be somebody, I almost think, that has 20 years of experience or 10 years of experience serving on a conservation commission or something like that. But I guess we can cross that bridge when we start interviewing people and write the job description. So does the commission want to vote to appropriate some money for this tonight, or do you think we should wait till the next meeting?
I would wait until the next meeting so we can bring the town manager up to date on our conversation tonight and get some more details nailed down.
Okay,
For the chair,
please.
I've been thinking about this. You and I had talked about it, and kind of what I'm envisioning is someone working about 15 to 20 hours a week. And I was thinking of, at least starting at $20. I think you'd be hard pressed to get somebody with any kind of conservation experience less than that. I think the part of the job could be definitely going back, trying to figure out some of these old certificates of compliance. There's probably, just from the time that I put on that, updating that, there's tons out there that are so far behind, and they go back years. I don't know if this person would need access to the files, to check this stuff out. And but also, we get these people that call in these site visits or violations, and a lot of people work during the day, so there's it's kind of hard to get there right away. We've tried, but but just just going around, I think following up on a lot of the projects that are going on, that someone could have more time to actually spend and follow up on these projects on a routine basis. And not only that, it's like just going around and like you did, Craig, you just happened to look over to the parking lot at Rockies and saw all that debris down in the wetlands and in the Pacusic, which is, that's horrendous. But, this is something that person could, just do spot checks around. And we've also talked about signing, our trails through the wetlands, or, maybe there's things that they could do, just periodically inspecting our wetlands, see if there's any violations going on. Like we had that one complaint where kids were riding their dirt bikes through over there off of Kibbe Road. And, but just checking out some of the conservation areas and see if, if there's some things that maybe that could be done on the trails, or posting something. I mean, I can think of a ton of things that, the person could be doing.
To the chair.
Please.
I'm hearing two things. I'm hearing per diem, and I'm hearing weekly hours of 15 to 20. They're different, So somebody who's per diem would be on call, and we would maybe set a limit for how much we might want to call on them. But once you get into 15 to 20 hours a week, then they're a subcontractor. They're like, we can't hire them, I guess, through the town, but there's a commitment we have to meet at least 15 hours a week. So we might want to think about that before our next meeting and see what we want to do. Because if you go, I know Bethany was talking about 40 hours. If you go over 30, I think it's 30 or 32 hours a week, that person has to become an employee. So we want to definitely keep the hours down below that. So, but I agree. I love the idea of using some of the money in this budget to hire an agent at least, 15 hours a week, or so many hours a month on a per diem basis. But
did you all see this report? I don't know if you can see it, that was sent out. Bethany
Yes.
sent it out.
yes,
That breaks down the 3 accounts.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's
We have the
definitely
money.
the Wetlands Protection Act fund, since it's basically just collecting money from the filings. I don't think that's a sustainable source to pay for an agent, but it will at the very least act as a pilot program, see how it works out, and then by the time it comes to get a hopefully a shared conservation agent with possibly Hamden, because they're also looking for one.
Oh.
it will at least give us some experience with working with one, and if there's anything we want to change, we'll know moving forward. So this would definitely just be, I'm thinking a year at most before reevaluating and trying to find a different solution.
And yeah, Bethany's correct. This would definitely not be a sustainable fund. We do not take that much in the fees. You know, we have spent a minimal amount of money in the last 10 years. But yes, and the project monitoring is a big part of it too, especially when you get some of these larger subdivisions. And depending on what phase of the construction is going on, you know, you could virtually do 3 or 4 site visits a week to some of these larger subdivisions when the excavation phase is going on and erosion controls are being installed. You know, but then later on in the project, there isn't a requirement to be there as much. But yeah, during the startup of even a single family home, you might need to go there a couple, 3 times a week, you know, and more frequently for the first month of the project. But okay, well, if people can write down some ideas and send them into Bethany, and we'll have this on the agenda for the next meeting. The other one that I had in thinking about it, and Francis brought this up earlier, and Mark Stinson was in agreements too, that, yeah, it's kind of absolutely what the money is there for, but waiting on this report from Rob Levesque on the functioning of the basin at Hidden Ponds. I'm thinking that I would almost like for us to take a portion of this money and hire an outside consultant to go in there and evaluate the basin. Because essentially what we have here is, you know, Rob Levesque is going in and checking this out for his customer.
Greg, we do actually have Rob in the audience. He's just under a different name.
Okay.
They're John Masuk. So if you'd like to hear from him, we can bring him in.
Oh,
I'm going to say it's not really an agenda item. I'm not sure we can.
yeah, if it's not on the agenda, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. But how does the commission feel? And I'm thinking this is something that could be done for somewhere between $3,000 and $4,000. I'm thinking maybe a not to exceed number of 3,000, and actually send it out and get some bids on it.
To the chair,
Please.
could we wait until our next meeting, put it on our agenda, and hear from Rob Levesque what he plans on doing before we make this decision?
Sure.
That's
Okay.
what I would propose.
All right. That works for me.
Thank you.
Everybody else okay with that?
I am.
Okay.
But I do think it's something to consider.
Yeah, me too.
Yep. I had just a couple other things. One of them was I noticed that there was a meeting last week. Francis, is there anything you wish to share about the CPC meeting?
Can I share? Let's see. I don't know, what were you thinking of? I've been on a couple of different meetings this week, as Bethany knows, so I'm like, okay, the CPC meeting.
I guess, Mike, the only one I was real curious about if there was any update on the Heritage Park.
Yes,
No.
there was.
Oh, who's that? Tony, yes, you were there? Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so update us, Tony.
Well, I'm going to be meeting with Bruce Fenney next week. He's going to show me, we're going to walk around the park. I mean, what they're talking about now is like $7 million. And I think it's going to be in phases.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, there was a lot of things brought up, and that's what I got out of it. You know,
Right.
I know they're planning on putting. Talking with Bruce, I think they want to put a field way up in the back, not where it was supposedly I don't know, a few years ago, they recommended to put it down below the other two. But now I guess it's going to be put up in the back. So I'm just going to walk around with Bruce.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Basically, that was it. I mean, some years ago, it was, you were on then, Craig, weren't you? It was like a $4 million plan they came up with and all this. Now it's like up to $7 million.
Great.
So,
Okay.
yeah, that's what I'd say. But that's it.
Yeah,
Okay.
nothing was really decided at
Yeah.
that meeting.
We're not close to putting a shovel in the ground.
No.
No. Okay.
No.
All right. Thank you. The other one I had was, I'm pretty sure, Bethany, you had one of the grants filed since our last meeting?
Oh,
The rivers trails, is that the one? Sorry, I have so
Yeah.
many floating around. Yes, that's been filed, and we'll just wait until we hear back.
Okay. Anybody else have anything under other business?
I got a couple things.
Yes, sir.
Just minor, but I just want to, on the agenda and the minutes, where we have the words call the roll, it's time to have those go bye-bye. They're not, especially in the minutes, they're not according to Mass GL. All Mass GL states is list the attendees and the absentees. And we're not getting, I mean, we're not physically calling the roll. So I'd like to see that term go away from both the agenda and the minutes. Because in the agenda, we're not actually calling the roll anyway.
In a while.
And I
And
think it's important to have the call the roll there because it lets us know who was present at the meeting.
you still put who's attending. If you look at the requirements under Mass GL, it just said list attendees and absentees and staff members. That's all it says. It doesn't, the wording call the roll doesn't appear.
Okay, I guess I'm fine as long as it has the meeting date, the time the meeting started, and
Yep.
the people present.
yeah, I think it's in the CPC. It says present, and then it lists the members who are present. And then it says absent, and it lists the people who are absent.
Yeah, just like
That-
on
That call the roll term was something that our former director put into being, but it's
No, it
really
should
not
actually-
necessary.
Jeff, you're saying it should actually say the names of those present and the names of those absent.
If
Is that what you're saying? That's what I think.
Mass General Law has a specific format for minutes of the meeting,
Okay.
and the words call the roll do not appear. It just says list the members present, list the members absent, and list the staff members. That's all.
Thank you.
The other thing, you know, I sent out an email and I brought it up before. And then I see on this agenda for tonight's meeting, everything that we do is by the DEP file number. The in-house, this case number, that's again something that the former director brought into being. It's much more important to us to have the DEP file number. If you want to use the case number, that's fine. But in that description, that DEP file number should be in there.
Right. The issue with that is that sometimes we don't receive the DEP file number in time to, one, include it in the advertisement, and I tried to keep the language in the advertisement the same as in the agenda.
Okay.
That's why it's
But-
not on the agenda.
Okay, but if we do have them, we should get them in there. Because if you can go to the DEP and you can research on their website, but if you don't have that file number, you're not going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And
I can see where, yeah, we might need a case number, like Bethany was saying, because we don't have a DEP file number yet.
Yeah.
But,
We may not have it before we put the ad into the newspaper, so
Yeah.
that could hold it up. That's why we use alternate labeling.
okay,
But I
But
noticed
it could hold
that,
up an applicant because we don't have the DEP file number for the notice.
I noticed that when there is a DEP number, they are putting it in parentheses.
Yeah.
You see it on the agenda.
Yeah,
mhm.
for certificates of compliance, it's really important to have it in there. For NOIs, it's difficult to get it in there just because I'm trying to be consistent with the language. But I'm trying to think of another way we could organize it so it is easier to reference. Maybe in the minutes we could put it in. That way, if you're ever having to track down a historical document, you can at least find it in the minutes.
well, yeah, if it at least gets in the minutes, that's a big help.
Yeah.
Because going back through, when I was trying to update the NOI log, it was really difficult if that DEP file number wasn't there.
The other one I had, and I didn't read them because it happened kind of late this week, but the order conditions and the NOI for the old, I think it was 20 North Main Street, those went out, right, Bethany? For that order conditions that's still open?
Sorry, what was that?
The order conditions that's still open, and I think it was for 20 North Main Street. You sent that out, right?
The 21? I believe so.
Yeah, I thought so. I
did
didn't
for
read it
Rebecca.
yet, but yeah, but I don't know if the notice of intent went out with that.
I
But
think
if
it might have been just the order conditions. Rebecca, do you remember?
Because the file's from 2000, I only have access to what I was able to pull offline because I haven't been in the office. When I get back in on Monday, I certainly can look for the old filing and try to circulate the old NOI. But right now, the only thing that's been circulated has been the outstanding certificate of compliance.
Okay. Yeah, because if we can locate it, it might be helpful to have a drawing to look at.
Yep,
For
once I'm
that.
back in the office, I'll definitely look for it.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else have anything in other business? All right, hearing nothing, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second,
All right, motion made and seconded. Roll call vote. Jeffrey,
Aye.
Tony,
aye.
Francis,
Aye.
Elizabeth,
Aye.
and I am a yes vote also. Thank you, Don, Rebecca, Bethany, and members of the commission,
Thank you.
and we will all
Thank
be in
you.
touch.
Have a good
Good
night.
night, all.
Everyone, good night.